There are people in the world who treat others terribly, thinking they're better than everyone else. They look down on others and act like some lives don't matter. One day, I regretted bringing my mom, Jane, to a restaurant. She looked like she wasn't really there, face blank, her eyes distant. It was unsettling. Things got even scarier when my vision blurred and eventually went black. It felt like a nightmare. Mom had always dreamed of being an artist. She loved painting and worked hard to get into art school. The day she passed her exams, she celebrated with friends. But on her way home, a car ran a red light and hit her. She only had a few scratches, but weeks later, her eyesight started to fade. Doctors said she had a traumatic cataract. She went blind 3 months later, and her world turned dark. Losing her sight broke her spirit, but over time, she found strength again. She met my dad, got married, and had me and my sister, Daisy. Mom never let her blindness define her. She raised us with love, scolded us when needed, and did her best to be strong for our family. Even when Daisy faced bullying at school, Mom didn't back down. She stood up for us no matter what. Growing up, I didn't always show her my gratitude. As 18, I complained about little things like her cooking and asked her not to come to school events. But deep down, I respected her strength and admired everything she did for us. Our family wasn't rich, but we worked together to make ends meet. When Daisy wanted to go to an expensive private school, we made sacrifices so she could chase her dreams of becoming a news anchor. I went to a public school, worked part-time at a diner, and saved up for college. That's when I met Finn. He was from a wealthy family and had a crush on a girl named Luna. Luna confessed her feelings for me, but I didn't feel the same. After I turned her down, Finn started harassing Mebbeth at work and school. At first, I tried to ignore him. I focused on studying, hoping to outshine him academically and make him stop. It wasn't easy, but I pushed through. Eventually, I got into a good university, and Finn's bullying faded away. College was a fresh start. I worked hard, learned new things, and grew as a person. Looking back, I realized I'd inherited my mom's resilience. Her strength taught me that no matter how tough life gets, you can't always find a way forward. I landed a job at a decent research institution, starting a bit later than my peers. With my first paycheck, I wanted to treat my parents to a special dinner. My sister, Daisy, a local TV announcer, had already done this for them, so I felt it was my turn. I chose a restaurant with sentimental value. It's where my dad first met my mom. She often joked about going there, saying, "Once I'm rich, I'll take you." Now, I was finally making that childhood dream come true. On the day of the dinner, my dad had to leave for an urgent work trip, so it ended up being just my mom and me. As we walked arm in arm, she joked, "Next time, I should say I want to visit the Caribbean." At the restaurant, I described the setting to her since she couldn't see it. I told her about the decor, the staff, and even the chandelier. It was a heartwarming moment, or at least it was until an unwelcome guest arrived. "Jay, long time no see," said a familiar voice. It was Finn, a former classmate. He was dressed in an expensive suit, full of himself, and Saturday down at our table uninvited. He boasted about his achievements, mentioning how his parents' connections helped him land a top job. He turned to me with a smirk. "So, still working part-time at that diner?" he asked mockingly. I calmly told him about my studies and new job, but he kept trying to provoke me. Then, noticing my mom's blindness, he waved a hand in front of her face. When she didn't react, his expression grew smug. "What, so you're the child of a disabled person?" he sneered. Anger flared up inside me, but before I could respond, my mom spoke softly, yet firmly. "Jay, Finn pulled out a business card, pretending to be polite. "I'm Jake's old classmate. If you have a disability, my company offers support," he said, handing her the card. Then, with a fake smile, he added, "Such a pity." "My not calm as ever," responded, handing out your company's card. "You represent them. Should I take your words as their true stance?" Finn doubled down, saying hateful things about disabled people. My anger was boiling over, but my mom remained composed. She simply said, "It's a pity to see a young person with such potential have these thoughts." Finn, looking smug, got up to leave. Before he did, my mom smiled and said, "Since it's a special occasion, let me give you some advice. Tomorrow, you'll lose an important job. I may be blind, but I can't see your future." Finn scoffed and left, laughing at her words. After he was gone, my mom apologized for ruining the dinner. "It's not your fault," I reassured her. I should have ignored him. Curious, I asked, "What was that prediction about?" My mom just smiled mysteriously. It felt like she was up to something, but she wasn't going to tell me yet. When I asked my mom about her mysterious prediction, she said, "You'll understand by tomorrow," and left it at that. Her tone made it clear she didn't want to discuss it further. As our dinner continued, I described the dishes to her, and she enjoyed the delicious food. By the end of the night, thoughts of Finn had faded from my mind. Still, as we rode home in a taxi, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was weighing on her mind. The next day at work, I noticed several missed calls from an unknown number. When I returned the call, a frantic Finn answered. "Jay, please, listen to me," he said, sounding desperate and on the verge of tears. He explained he had gotten my number from a mutual classmate. "I'm sorry for everything. Please tell your mom I was wrong. I didn't mean what I said yesterday," he pleaded. I was confused but listened as he explained what had happened. Just as my mom predicted, Finn had been called into the executive's office that morning and fired. "I had no idea your mom was so powerful. This is bad for me," he cried. After calming him down, I promised to speak with my mom and ended the call. When I called her, she answered immediately, as if she'd been expecting me. "I told you this would happen, didn't I?" she said calmly. When I pressed her for details, she revealed the truth. She was a shareholder in Finn's company and knew Tom Bryan, the company president. Tom had helped her during a dark time in her life when she was struggling with blindness and despair. He had also played a role in introducing her to my father. She explained that after Finn's comments, she had reported his behavior to Tom, warning that such attitudes were harmful to the company's future. I was stunned. My mom, who always lived modestly, had such significant connections. She then told me, "Meet me at the restaurant tonight. Bring Finn." That evening, I met up with Finn, who looked completely defeated. His usual arrogance was gone, replaced by nervousness and exhaustion. Together, we went to the restaurant, where my mom was already seated with a man Tom Bryan himself. "Finn, I've heard everything," Tom said, addressing him directly. "Your behavior is a liability to this company. As of today, your employment is terminated." Finn collapsed into a chair, pale and speechless. Tom explained the situation further. His company had recently launched a project to support employees with disabilities, creating an inclusive work environment. Finn's actions harassing and insulting disabled colleagues directly undermined the mission. An internal investigation revealed Finn's history of bullying and mistreatment of co-workers with disabilities, including those who were deaf or had mobility challenges. Many employees had been too afraid to report him, but his actions couldn't be ignored any longer. Hearing about Finn's cruel comments, like calling disabled people a burden on society, made my stomach turn. My mom had recognized the danger of Finn's mindset and acted decisively. She knew that someone like him couldn't be allowed to stay in a company, striving to create a supportive environment. While Finn now seemed regretful, it was too late. His behavior had finally caught up with him. As the meeting concluded, my mom addressed Finn directly, her voice calm but firm. This isn't just about punishment, it's a lesson. The words you speak and the actions you take matter. Reflect on this, and maybe you'll become someone who builds others up instead of tearing them down. Finn nodded silently, his pride completely shattered. Later, as we left the restaurant, I turned to my mom. You've always been so strong. How do you stay calm in situations like this? She smiled gently. Strength isn't about fighting battles with anger. It's about knowing when and how to stand up for what's right. Her words stayed with me, and I realized once again how remarkable my mother truly was. Finn's story might have ended in failure, but for me, it was a powerful reminder to value kindness, fairness, and integrity above all else.